So today I'm here with Matiss Zaharovs.
Zaharovs, yeah.
Zaharovs in the Honey Badger Academy. Matiss, obviously you're a pro in Brave at the minute, so I just want to go through your story with you, how you got from there to here. So when did you first get into MMA and how did you get into it and why?
So I got into like combat sports back in like 2013 when I was 16 years old. Mostly because of bullying. That's the main reason why I kind of went into just to learn how to defend myself and how to fight. And as I began, well, first it was the kickboxing in a PE hall I started doing, and then I went into an MMA club then. And a couple of months passed, I'd say about 3 months or something. And I was pretty good, like the coach see that I was good and I wasn't bad. So I decided to go for a competition. And because I was mostly training with a striking coach at the time, not a jiu-jitsu coach, I went into like a sport called Sanda, Chinese kickboxing. And I competed in this sport a few times before I went down to K1. And obviously I was pretty successful in the Sanda. I won the 60 kg belt in Sanda. And then I went on to K1, because I was still young, I couldn't just go into amateur MMA because I was like 16 at the time, 17. So done some K1 fights. I won the ISK belt under 57 kgs in that. And then I was just kind of going on to 18. I think I had about a month or two before I was 18. So I was able to have my first amateur fight then.
Okay.
So I had that, and then kind of amateur career started from there. I turned 18, had my second amateur fight, and all the way up to 12 fights then. And I won about 4 belts in MMA, mostly all in bantamweight division. Yeah, and that's kind of amateur MMA career. Had my first professional fight on Bama in the Tree Arena. It was a very big stage now to have my first professional fight. That went well. I got the TKO in the second round. It was over the moon. I was delighted. And I was still in school back then. We were kind of doing a PLC at the time. And when I won that fight, I was like, wait a minute, I finally got paid doing something I was just started off doing to learn how to defend myself. You know what I mean? Started as a hobby, had no interest in turning into my career. I thought I was going to be an engineer after school. That's literally what I went to the PSC to do, thinking I was going to be an engineer. And the fact that I won my first professional fight, got 1,000 or something for 1,000 and a bit, 1,500 for it. I was like, wow, got a bit of money here now. So I was like, okay, I'm going to give this a go then. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to start fighting professional MMA. So then my next fight was on Clan Wars against Toman from the north. I didn't get paid as much for that, only a couple of £100. But it was just the experience. I went there to get back into it because there was a bit of a layoff between my first professional fight and the second one. A bit of a layoff. So yeah, I won that one. First round rear naked choke. That was a nice victory. I got connected with Tristan Kennedy at the time. Me and him started working towards. Well, sorry, he actually helped me for the Toman fight. Just on fight week, he came on board and he started helping me. Then I had him for the flyweight fight, and he obviously, with his help, he got me down to flyweight, which was a pretty difficult cut now. You know what I mean? It was a hard cut. Yeah, that was a rough cut. And obviously, made weight, reasonably okay. Had my fight then. He was a Bahrainian guy. He was good. He was kick. I went out in the opposite stance. You know what I mean? I didn't go out in my normal stance, in my southpaw. Didn't go out in southpaw. Went out in orthodox. So he kept on kicking my leg. Obviously, kept on kicking it. So because I'm not originally in that stance, I know how to switch back and go back southpaw, which I did. He decided he still wanted to kick the same leg because he thought I was hurt, which it wasn't too hurt, but like he did put a bit of damage on that leg. So I switched stance into my original stance. And obviously it's much easier to check a leg kick when all you gotta do is lift your leg up with your back leg. So I lifted the leg up when he was throwing out a full power kick again to my leg. I checked the kick, boom, snapped his leg in half. He realised that his leg was snapped. He was hopping back on one leg, his leg dangling like this, his shin bone, like it didn't look well. I come up with a nice uppercut hook, he falls over. I finish it off with a nice shot on the ground, boom, in the head. The referee pushed me off him. And that was that then. Then obviously won the multi-fight contract with Brave. So about 5-fight contract, 6-fight, in around there. Next one was against a wrestler, small wrestler, Bilal, I think his name was. That went good. That was a tough fight. He really pushed me to my limits. Well, I pushed him to his limits, and I broke him because I was training so hard between the leg snapping fight and this one, like, you know what I mean? Extremely hard. I was working on my conditioning a lot. And I basically just brought him in deep waters. Whenever he took me down, I didn't stop. None of this, like, you know what I mean? Constantly moving, like not giving him time to settle to catch a bear. I was always hitting him, always teeping him, you know. And every time I teeped him, like, I took a bit out of his gas tank. I had to mix it up, you know what I mean? I kick him in the inside leg, I teep him, go up high, always keep him guessing, you know what I mean? And always just bounce around the outside. And in the third round, he was fucked after the first 2 rounds. In the third round, I think I threw 1 teep. And the next one was like almost like a question mark kick. Got the shin across to the side of his head. Boom, got him. He was wobbly on his feet, and then I just put the pressure on him. Now I was tired as well now. It was a fast-paced fight now. I'm not saying I wasn't fucking tired, but I was able to go through it. I was able to push through my tiredness simply because the work I was putting in. So I pushed through, I just constantly going for him, punching him, kneeing him, punching him, punching him, punching him. And then the referee came in and stopped it. Just cracking him, like he just wasn't defending himself. He was just fucked, like he just wanted out there. And that was that. Won that one. Yeah, and then we go into my other 2 fights, which are the 2 losses. Then we go into my Gamzat fight, the Dagestani wrestler. He was very good in the wrestling aspect. I had him on the feet though. Had him on stanky legs a few times, you know what I mean? From a head kick and a slip left hand. In the second round, I slipped his right hand, slipped it, boom. Cracked him a left hand. He kind of caught a little trip, he clipped my ankle, like he got a little takedown on me. And I decided to go and take his back, which was a big mistake. Like I could have just stepped off and just kept on ground and pounding, but I kind of tried to, what originally happened was, he had the one leg, right? And I tried to come around, but I didn't have my legs out too far. So he still kind of had somehow one leg, but my other leg was going around, and he still had a hold of this leg. So as I was trying to come around, he stopped me by holding onto my leg. So I went for the back. If he didn't hold that leg, I would have went past, and I would have kept on hitting him, but that didn't go to plan. Hold onto the leg. I went to try to take his back. That failed, because it just failed. Then we went into, then I just tried to get up, got up, separated the grips, ran away, went for the Hail Mary, tried to swing, because he was running at me. Man was running at me, so he was still wobbling, still running at me. Tried to go for a big bomb, didn't work out, and then he just fucking doing what he done for the rest of the fight, wrestled me, you know what I mean? And yeah, I went to decision. Yeah, and that was that fight. Then we're gonna go into my Serbian fight. This is where I was kind of switching management companies as well. I wasn't happy with the current one due to the long breaks. He was okay to let me go, which is fair. We didn't have a falling out or anything. Me and Paul are still cool. We still talk now and then. Yeah, signed with a new management company. Fights were getting thrown left, right, and center. And yeah, I got the Serbian fight then. After a few guys didn't accept it, I had the Serbian fight. And I really wanted to get back. I think I wanted to get back too much. And I wasn't even, I think I wanted to get back too much without even focusing on my training so much. I was focused on my training, but like I'd almost forgot about the work I was putting in the previous fights. I just wanted to fight, and completely almost forgetting about the training I should be putting in and was putting in for the last fights. So I just wanted to get back in there. So the Serbian fight came up with Brave. So I was like, okay, I'm going to take it, because if I didn't take it, God knows when I'm going to get the next fight. Yeah. If I was to turn down that Serbian fight, I probably won't fight for another 6 months due to the way Brave are with matching their fighters. So I was like, okay, I need to fight, like, you know what I mean? I fucking won't get another fight in ages, and I want to fight. So I was like, okay, I'm going to take it. So I took it. It was all Serbians against all, like, the rest of the world, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because after my Gamzat fight, I knew I lacked a bit of wrestling. Yeah. So I went to Ukraine after the Gamza fight. I flew to Dubai and spent some time there, and then I went to Ukraine. There's this wrestling camp there for about 2 weeks. You train wrestling, just pure wrestling. You know what I mean? Which I did need it, and it did help me. And it definitely showed now in the Serbian fight, the wrestling I learned. You know what I mean? If you watched in the Serbian fight, it was mostly a wrestling match. Yeah. You know what I mean? Got multiple takedowns, had some control. You know what I mean? A few ground and pound there and there. But yeah, learned the wrestling in Ukraine, which dramatically upped my game. Had the Serbian fight, basically wrestled him. It was a close fight. The judges gave him all the fights. He got all the rounds, which is a load of bollocks. He did not get all the rounds. I clearly won the first, and I obviously won the second. Second was close, 50-50 with the second one. Judges were all Serbian, not a different nationality in the judges. They were all Serbians, pure Serbians. You know what I mean? There was no other, unlike and this is not even like like I fight in Bahrain as well.
Yeah.
Look at the fight with Brad Katona and the hometown Bahrainian guy. It was a split decision, and Brad won. Brad won because the judges were not all Bahrainians. If the judges were all Bahrainians, there's no way would Brad win. That's my opinion. The judges were all, I think there was an Irish judge, there was a Bahrainian judge, and there was a judge from a different country. All mixed judges, you know what I mean? Yeah. And Brad got the split decision, a fair play to him. It was a good fight. And my case in Serbia, there was none of that. Just pure Serbians. Even seen from the first fight. It was robbery, like, you know what I mean? The first fight on the card, like, it was robbery. Yeah, that's all I have to say about that fight. Now, I could have pushed more, you know what I mean? I could have done a little bit more, but it is what it is for that fight. And now we're here now, like, haven't had any fights since. Yeah, that's kind of the career.
Yeah. Would that be normal that in a country, obviously you said Bahrain is different, you had the different judges. Would it be normal if you went to different countries that it's all the same nationality of judges, or do they usually try and mix it up? Obviously, due to fairness, especially if it's an international show like Brave, you want full transparency, you want fairness. Do other countries have that it's all their own nationality of judges, or was it just that one that you've come across?
I think that's the only one I came across, and it probably has happened in the past before as well. But normally they should and would have different judges from different countries even. Especially at a big show like Brave, they would have different judges. None of the judges would be the same nationality. Obviously, well, it's not even the same nationality. Like, it was just a show that Serbia had. It was all Serbians. Like, it was literally Serbia versus the world.
Yeah.
This is the show. This is the team.
Yeah.
In Bahrain, you'll have just like different nationalities.
Everyone versus everyone.
Yeah, this sort of thing. But it was just a case where it was an individual country against the world.
Yeah.
Do you get me?
Was that how it was portrayed and marketed?
That's their team. That's what they're marking out. That's what was going on. It was Serbia, just Serbians. There's I don't think there was anyone else on Serbia's side who wasn't a Serbian in this fight. So it was just all Serbians against the world, which was different nationalities.
Yeah.
And I think that's where the judges came in as being all Serbians.
And when you're sitting out the back and you see the first fight, like you said, it was a robbery. Yeah. When you're sitting out the back waiting for your fight and you see that, you think, fuck, we're in for a night here. I need to get the finish. Or had that even registered with you at the time?
I was like, yeah, like even my coach said, we need to get the finish in this fight. Or he didn't, I don't think he even said that, he was thinking that. A different guy said that. A different guy said that, came in and says, you need to get the finish here, like it's not looking good. It's not looking good. Your man out there got robbed, basically, you know what I mean? And that kind of set the whole momentum for the whole fight. You know what I mean? If it did go to the decision, like, and if it was any way close, it's more likely going to go to the other, to the Serbians.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of how it went.
Yeah, I want to circle back kind of to the start. You said you obviously started combat sports because you were bullied. That seems to be a story with a lot of people within the country. Why was that? Obviously, you're Latvian originally. You've lived in Ireland. Did the bullying start when you first came here, or because you came here, I believe, at 6? Or is that when the bullying started?
6 years old, yeah. It would have started back then, yeah. Like a foreign guy coming here to Ireland, you know, back then, at them times, there would have been a lot of bullying. You know what I mean? Even to a lot of foreign guys, a lot of foreign kids, like even in primary school, end of primary school, early secondary school, there would have been a lot of bullying towards foreigners.
Yeah.
From my experience and just experience of in my school and seeing how stuff was like, and even outside of school, just seeing how things were towards the foreigners at the time. It could be different now. I don't know what's it like now. I think it could be a lot different now. There's not so much bullying towards foreigners now because obviously there's so much foreigners in the country and like so much people that are born now, you know what I mean, whose parents are not Irish but they were born here, not Irish.
Yeah.
Back then that wasn't the case. There wasn't so much people that are born here that had foreign parents.
Yeah, because
not as much, obviously, you know what I mean. There was, but not as much as there is now. So now it's all like, I think it's been accepted now, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? It's been more accepted now, if that makes sense. So the bullying's not happening.
It's more integrated culture now within Ireland because we've got Polish, Lithuanians, Latvians. We've people from everywhere. Whereas, like you said, when you would have came over at the time, I've lived in Ireland. Well, I lived in the UK for a while, but I came back. Like there would have been you'd be very rare that you'd see someone from another nationality.
Exactly. And,
unfortunately, that bullying did happen to you, and that's not a nice thing to. That's not a nice thing to go through. So that obviously led you to the combat sports. Once you started competing, did you see the shift change that people weren't so quick to bully you then?
So what would happen is you'd obviously start the combat sports, your training or whatever, and you'd obviously put some stuff on social media or whatever. And obviously, as you said there, when you start coming up to the competitions, you have your first competition, like it dies down by itself in a way. So you'd have the bullying, but then it slowly would die down, where it's not coming at you anymore. Like they won't bother you anymore, or they're not pestering you anymore. Like it would die down, and then it'll turn where they want to be your friends, where the tables are turning. You know what I mean? It went from them bullying you, where dying down, and obviously you're competing now. You're beating the fuck out of lads in competitions, and they know this, and then now they know you can fight. And obviously confidence as well plays a factor where you got to be confident. Your confidence goes up. You're not going walking down with your head down like anymore. You're not like someone says something to you, you're not like all fucking quiet and you like turn away. Like stand up, chest high, you know what I mean? Because you have confidence. Like, you know, if something kicked off, I'm ready to swing. I'm ready here to potentially spark this man out. If this child, like, you know, when you're younger, this kid out. Because you obviously have the confidence, you learn how to throw hands, you learn how to throw punches and all. You have more confidence. So if something did kick off, you're ready. You're in a much better, you're much more ready than you were that if you didn't learn how to throw hands.
Yeah.
Or obviously defend yourself. You know what I mean? So they normally back off since you have the confidence and you defend yourself, you know what I mean? You're like, yeah, what's up? Like, it's different, you know what I mean? And if it sometimes did kick off when I was younger. Even though I was learning, it did kick off. I gave them a much harder time than if I didn't learn how to fight. They had a much harder time getting at me and bullying me. So they just left me, do you get me? Because, like, there was times where, like, even though I was fighting, I was still getting to rouse. And like a little hand fight would happen, like hands get thrown. But like the same scenario before I learned any combat sports, it would have been their favor dramatically.
Yeah.
Do you get me? So they come back and they come back. You know what I mean?
It's bullies prey on the weak, essentially. They prey on people they know they can.
In a way, yeah. They would, yeah. But then, like, once, obviously, you give them a going, it's different. It's much harder for them to come back. And obviously, you're only getting better. You're going back to combat sports. You're going back to training. You're learning new stuff. You're only getting stronger and better. You know what I mean? So it's in the long run, it's going to get much harder for them to do anything. So they just either stop, become your friend. Like anyone who was bullying me back then, now they're like basically a fan now. They're my friend. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and obviously, I don't take any grudges. You know what I mean? I don't. When I see them now in the pub or whatever, whenever I do go out that time, when I see them in the pub, they're pretty okay with me. They say hi, I say hi back to them, you know what I mean? But like, they're a bit shy now. They're a bit scared. Like, you know what I mean? Their reactions are different now, you know what I mean? Compared to back then. But it's okay now. Everything is okay now. And obviously, you're older now, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of childish behavior back then was going on, you know what I mean? You know how kids are back then. It's a lot different now. Obviously, you're much more mature now, you know, and everything's different now. And everything's a lot better now, you know what I mean? With combat sports, dramatically helped me in life, you know.
No, as it does, and there seems to be a lot of that within fighters, that is the reason. And obviously, you coming from a foreign country and that happening, it must have been quite hard for you, obviously, but obviously that helps you grow your confidence. And like you talked about, you went into kickboxing and then MMA. Talk us through your first time competing in MMA, obviously, because that's what you're a pro at now. Your first time competing as an amateur, how did the week up feel? How did in the back feel? And how did walking out into the cage? And where was your first fight? Amateur.
Yeah, at amateur. It was exciting, you know what I mean? I was young, I was very excited. I could not wait to have my first amateur fight, you know what I mean? And I was still in secondary school, you know what I mean? Because all I wanted to really show them, look, I'm about to have an MMA fight, you know what I mean? And it was just also like, you know, to like show them, listen, I'm about to have my first MMA fight. Especially the bullies as well, like to show them, listen, I'm stepping into the MMA cage. This is where they're dying out, like literally they would be gone, like they weren't going to be bothering me anymore, you know what I mean? And this was kind of the icing on the cake, we would have this MMA fight, you know what I mean? Back then, MMA, I was like, oh, this is MMA, he does MMA. You know what I mean? Like, it was kind of like that back then. It was like a whoa. So, yeah, the first fight, I was nervous. I was excited, but then I was nervous when I came up to it. I was pretty nervous. The walkout, it was on a show, Ryoshin, like, it was back when, on a show, Ryoshin, the name was the show. I fought a guy, his name, he's from SPG, mostly a grappler. I had very little grapple experience back then, very little. The guy that I was mostly training was a striking coach, Kevin White from Kildare MMA. That's who I done my striking back then, yeah. So it was mostly with him. And a guy called Paul, he would kind of do the MMA stuff with me, them two. I didn't really train with the jiu-jitsu back then at all. I kind of didn't show up to the jiu-jitsu classes, so I had very little jiu-jitsu. And this guy was a jiu-jitsu guy. So the plan was to go in here and just fight and just not get taken down. And I didn't get, so walked out, scared, nervous, excited, all at the once, got in there. But see, like, I wasn't too nervous. I was nervous, but I wasn't too nervous because I fought him in Sanda. I remember I was competing in Sanda, the Chinese kickboxing. I fought him in that and I absolutely battered him in that. So I knew I had the upper edge in the fucking striking. But I didn't have the upper edge in the jiu-jitsu. So, fight went well. The first round just basically defending the takedown for the whole round, just defending. Got me down, but he got me down near the very end, right? But he also used a lot of energy getting me down. In the second round, I just went out, put the pressure on him, swinging shots, kicking, just fighting, just throwing hands at him. And I got the TKO, and that victory, wow. I just turned around because I had like friends there as well. Like a few little friends, three of my good friends came to watch me fight, and I TKO'd them. And I just turned around and I'm like, yeah. And the euphoria, like there's no other feeling than that. It was such an amazing feeling then, and yeah, like it was great. That's how that went.
Right, so from obviously the feeling of the amateur fight, I'm going to fast forward. You won a couple of belts at amateur. You decided there was nothing left for you there. There wasn't. So you went to pro. Your first show was on Barma. Obviously, we briefly touched on that earlier. It was a big one. Tell me the difference and how that felt walking out in the Tree Arena, obviously one of the biggest arenas in the country. How did that feel walking out on such a big promotion at the time?
It felt like I did feel overwhelming, you know, with how big the place, how big the arena was. Like I came from a basketball hall, from a big Tree Arena, you know what I mean? Lots of people there, you know? It was overwhelming, but then I sucked it in, you know, like, wow, this is it. This is the pro debut. This is what this is all about. This is what I trained so hard to do. Now I'm here. Now it's time to put on a show, get the finish, you know? And I went in there and I got the finish. But like, it was just a big step up, like, it was a big step up. I didn't crumble under the pressure. I didn't crumble under the lights. I was nervous, much more nervous than normal, as you would in such a big arena. And a lot of people, in front of a lot of people, but this is what I signed up to do, and this is what I always wanted to do. I always wanted to fight in big crowds, and didn't let that get to me. So I went in there and got the TKO in the second round. Yeah.
Yeah, so obviously your first 4 fights, they were all finishes, so you had 100% finish rate. I want to go to, obviously you went from that, you fought Dara, then you got the Brave contract, you won the first fight. The second fight, you were always considered the underdog in the fights. With the Bilal one, I seen the interview, you said you were going to break him down the pressure. He was heavily favoured. That was an absolute cracker fight, first 2 rounds. How did it feel to actually, when you got to the third round, when I rewatched the fight, I looked at it and said, you can tell he's tired. How did that feel to actually live? You kind of predicted what you were going to do.
Yeah.
And then what was that feeling? What's the feeling like it coming from the underdog, where everyone thinks that you're not going to win, they're going to win, and then getting a win against an opponent like that in the fashion you did, because you did break his spirit. You could see he wasn't defending himself. What was that feeling like?
Like, when the second round was up, we went back to our stools. I did not feel that tired. I could see him over there looking on the ground, gasping for air. He was done. So I knew I had to play this one smart and not let him get hold of me. So when I went out there the third round, full of confidence, looking like I'm not even tired, went in there, because I seen him tired, I just kept on targeting his breadbasket, which is the belly, the lungs, the teeth. I kept on hitting his belly, boom, boom. And obviously it takes more out of him. And then boom, the heck kick lands. I storm him with punches, get the TKO. And then just, it was euphoria. Like, I was like, wow, I won. I was like, yeah. It's like such an amazing feeling. And the fact that I was an underdog, like, I was like, I told you so. I knew I could do it, you know what I mean? I knew I was able to do it. Just the people didn't know I was going to do it, hence why I was underdog. And I proved them all wrong, you know what I mean? I did prove them all wrong. And that was a good feeling like, listen guys, look, here you go. I'm not the underdog. Nor was I the underdog for the last 2 fights. And then they come to realize that I wasn't the underdog, you know what I mean? And they came to realize that I was the deal, you know what I mean? I was finishing these guys. I wasn't just going and winning by decision, like none of this boring stuff, you know what I mean? I was finishing boys, TKOing lads, breaking lads' legs. Like, I'm hurting people, you know what I mean? I'm not just winning. I'm not just winning the fight. We're okay. Go party the next day. I'm hurting people where they're going to the hospital or they're going back to their hotel room and they're not moving. You know what I mean? I'm winning that in them type of ways, you know what I mean? I'm hurting lads. That's why I can't, like, see the way you see some fighters are fighting people who are 5-20 or 5 and 10, like, you know what I mean? Negative records. Them lads won't fight me. I'd like to fight a guy who's 6 and like 8, but there's no way he would fight me because I would hurt him, and he knows I would hurt him. Like, that's why I'm only fighting guys who are like 1-0 or something, coming up through my career, 8-0, 8-1, 4-1. I'm fighting good guys because unfortunately they're the only guys who will take the fights. I cannot get these guys who are negative records in their pro career because they probably know I'll hurt them. You know what I mean? Like, I'd like to get a nice finish with one of these lads, you know what I mean? Like some of these other guys are getting. Unfortunately, that's not working out for me, you know what I mean? So I have to fight these fucking 8-1 lads, you know what I mean? But yeah, that's kind of how that went.
Yeah, no, obviously in that fight was quite, you can hear him, it's the same with all Irish coaches. Mr. Mulpeter in your corner, you can hear him, Matiss, you can do this all day. Just talk to me a minute about what he's like as a coach for you and what does he mean to you as part of your career, because he's a man who wears many hats. He's got, obviously here at the Honey Badger, he's got Gamma and he's got fighters like you. How influential to your career has he been, and how much, when he's in the corner, obviously you can hear him, like how much of his knowledge do you take in while you're in the corner? How beneficial is he to you when he's in the corner?
Yeah. He's very beneficial to me in the corner because it's like a video game. He's very loud. You hear him fucking on the other side of the arena. Like, he's a very loud voice. So I can hear him in the cage. Some coaches, you can't really hear them. They're a bit quiet, so you can't really hear them. I can hear him very loudly. So he's telling me to do something if I'm in a position and I do it. You know what I mean? I do it. And also, like, I met him back when after my first pro fight. I met him then, and I came and started training with him. And he's been there ever since, all the way up from my second pro fight, all the way up to the one now, you know? And yeah, like, he's helped my game dramatically in terms of, like, a lot of wall work and just, like, mindset, obviously, as well, and obviously with his experience. And in a lot of ways, you know what I mean? He has helped me a lot, you know? Yeah, helped me dramatically in many ways, yeah, a lot.
Yeah, no, he's obviously, he's quite renowned within the country. He's very well known. He obviously runs Gamma.
Yeah.
So we're going to go through You talked there, you don't like going to decisions for your wins, you like the excitement, you like to let people know you've been in there with them. So with your 2 losses, obviously they were 2 decision losses. One I heard you speaking about briefly, that it was when you were in Dubai before that fight, there wasn't really a wall, and that's where most of the fight took place. When you lost by decision, was that easier or harder to take because you weren't knocked out, or was it because it went to decision, you were like, oh, these guys just, obviously the Serbia fight was 50-50, obviously it went the way it did. But when it goes to decision, is that harder to take or easier to take when you lose in such a manner?
Even the Gamzat fight in Bahrain, that was also pretty close. If you watch that back, that was pretty close as well. But it is easier to take because I didn't get battered now. I didn't get KO'd. I didn't get really hurt or badly hurt or anything. There were just a few things I could have worked on more. Probably lack of commitment a little bit. Not even lack of commitment. A little bit of work. I just didn't work hard enough, I don't think. And I was rushing too into it. Yeah, like I know where I reflected on the 2 losses. I look back on them, and I'm not going to do the same things I've done for the last ones. I'm not going to take any fights until I feel I'm ready. So I've been training, like I've been over in Dubai now since January. All the way only for 3 months or so. But I was there for like John Mitchell's fight, for basically his camp for UAE Warriors. Munir, the sniper, Aziz, for his UFC fight. They're all trained together again, ready for their fights, you know what I mean? And their fights were all around the similar dates, but they're all in camp. And I was training for their camp. I was helping them out, training with them, you know what I mean? Building myself up. And I still have more to build up, you know what I mean? I don't feel like I'm ready to step back in there just yet. I soon will be, possibly after the summer. I'm feeling myself getting there, you know what I mean? And I'm just not going to take anything, I'm not going to put myself forward for anything until I'm not ready, you know what I mean? I'm going to first get ready and then go into camp. I'm not going to go into camp not ready, you know what I mean? Like, because you can't really push yourself. Let's say, for example, go into camp not that fit. Fit, but not fight fit, basically. Just fit, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I go into camp just fit. What happens is, to me, I tend to burn out. Because when I'm in camp, I push myself and I burn out. And I sometimes don't realize it. And I didn't really realize it too much for the last fights. And I'm not performing in training. And I'm getting more tired in like let's say, for example, sparring sessions or jiu-jitsu rounds or fucking whatever. But my heart rate is not in the red zone. It's only it's flowing just in the zone below. But it feels like I'm pushing myself to the red zone, but I'm not. Now I'm able to tell this, you know what I mean? I'm able to see what the story is, why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling during training. And I'm just taking I'm taking time off, you know what I mean? I'm not bloody going at it as hard, you know what I mean? I'm giving myself recovery time now. And I'm basically building the body up, so I'm able to take on a lot more workload now if I was to go into camp. Do you get me?
Yeah.
I'm able to take on a lot more workload. I'm not going to burn out, do you know what I mean?
You're conditioning your body for the training that's coming up.
I'm conditioning my body now for the fight week. Not fight week, for the fight camp. So I'm conditioning my body now for fight camp. So when fight camp, like, it's a whole different ballgame then when fight camp comes. When fight camp starts coming in, that's another level of training, you know what I mean? I'm trying to get myself conditioned now where I can push myself to limits, extreme limits, you know what I mean? So that's what I'm kind of doing now. Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously you're going to be looking for late in the summer. I just want to kind of touch off your 2 losses. MMA seems to be such a fickle sport. We've seen a couple of personalities within Ireland get a bit of grief over a couple of fights and stuff like that. And obviously when you were on the 4-fight winning streak, all finishes, all exciting, I'd say there was fans galore. Did that taper off when you lose? Do you find, because I've had a lot of people say to me that when you're winning, everyone's with you, but when you're losing, people seem to jump off the wagon? And do you find, and how does that make you feel? Is it, because at the end of the day, you are a fighter, you do things that people won't do, but you are a human being at the end of the day. What kind of emotions and feelings come with that, or have you experienced that after the 2 losses?
Yeah, so you do, obviously. You win the fight, you get a load of people congratulating you, talking to you, whatever. But then obviously when you lose, you only got the originals message you saying hard luck. The people that have been there from day one and stuff like that, you know what I mean? You don't get any new people. That time you might, but like it does die down dramatically when you lose your fights. But you still have the people from day one there. You have your supporters who were there at the start of your career. They're still there, you know what I mean? They're still there, you know? But yeah, like it does die down, you know? People, so obviously I don't know what people are talking, but probably people do be talking, oh, he's done now, that's it, he's over, that's it, he's not fighting again now, that's it, oh, he's done now, that sort of crack. That probably does happen. But I obviously don't, I don't really think about that too much. And again, if that starts happening, he's done, that's it, no more. But he's not gonna make it now, that's it. That's gonna give me the drive to prove them wrong, you get me? That's gonna lift me up, boom, I'm gonna prove these lads wrong. I'm gonna prove them wrong. Just like I was underdog for the first 2 fights, Bahrain and the other one. I was underdog, I need to prove people wrong here, like, you know what I mean? That obviously lit the fire, the drive was there, you know what I mean? Because I wanted to prove them, you know what I mean? And this is going to be probably the case again now for this next fight. I'm going to prove people wrong now. I'm not done. I'm going to come back now in the next fight. I'm going to fucking spark the next lad out, and that's it. Like, you know what I mean? I'm going to be back where I was, back to finishing lads, you know what I mean? I'm going to be exactly back where I left, finishing guys, you know what I mean? These 2 losses, I'm not going to sit and be upset over them, you know what I mean? I analyse the situation, I analyse what has happened, I thought back over it, you know what I mean? I know exactly what happened. So like, it's in the past, like, I don't really think back. That's gone out of my memory, like, I'm looking forward now, that's it, you know what I mean? Forward, next fight, and kind of bringing back, going back to how I started my pro career, the training I was doing, you know what I mean? The work, the intensity, all I was doing, like, I'm gonna bring all that back, as I said, but first I need to condition the body to that. But yeah, not bad, like, I'm gonna prove people wrong, you know what I mean? I'm gonna get back on this, you know what I mean? I'm gonna go back finishing guys, you know what I mean? And I didn't lose against Hams, like I lost against an 8-1 guy and a 4-1 guy who's 5-0 now and he's actually sparking everyone else out. You know what I mean? I lost against good guys, decisions could have went either way, give or take scenarios, you know what I mean? I didn't get battered by someone who's fucking 2-2, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I lost against good guys. And my wins weren't decision wins. My wins are not boring wins, like, I finished lads. The average person who's watching it doesn't really know too much about the sport. They're coming to watch you batter someone. They're coming to watch you KO someone. They want to see excitement. They want to see mad shit. I can't, in a way, I bring that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
My wins, I really go to decision. I get finishes. People get excited, they're like watching, oh, this is going to happen, boom, leg breaking. People were shocked, you know what I mean? The head kick TKO, like, that got people off their feet because, like, how the fight was going before that, you know what I mean? Like, that gets the adrenaline rush pumping, you know, that gets people going, like, it's a good fight, nice fast-paced fight, good shots landed, you know what I mean? People like watching that. So I'm going to bring that back, you know what I mean? I'm going to bring what I've been doing back, you know? And yeah, I'm going to bring it back and get back on the bandwagon and start winning again.
Yeah, no, I like what you said there, and obviously with the wins being decision, I said it was easier to take. You have a lot more footage to learn from that, and obviously you've studied that, and going forward you don't want it to happen again. And in regards to the question I asked about the loss, what I really got from what you said there was you only really value your core people who kind of came up with you, and they're the only ones who matter, because, like, at the end of the day, these people, like, I haven't heard anyone say Matiss is done, but obviously they fall off and on, like casual fans.
Yeah.
That whatever they say, you get one win, they're all back on your bandwagon. So what I've really got there is from your family, your friends, your coaches, you just really value that core of people for when you're coming up, because at the end of the day, they're going to be there, win or lose, no matter what.
Exactly, they would be, yeah, that's the people, like, they're your probably number one supporters, the people who've been there from day one, you know what I mean? Like, they're your number one supporters, they're going to help you when you lost, or even when you're retired. Like, they will help you, they'll be there for you, you know what I mean, regardless. These people are going to come and go when you're winning, like, you know what I mean? Like, they'll be gone then when you're losing, do you get me? So I have my people, you know what I mean? And I'm grateful for the people I have, you know what I mean? And yeah, like, I'm happy, you know, with the people that I have and the people that are going to help me progress where I need to progress, you know? That's it, yeah.
Yeah. Just one more question I want to ask you before we go is actually, because I was supposed to ask that earlier, how was your mother when you actually went to combat sports? Did she, like, obviously because you were being bullied, did she know about the bullying? Did she accept it, or did she think, oh no, you're going to get hurt? And especially when you decided to go pro, what was her opinion on it?
So I don't think she knew so much about the bullying. She didn't really say much about the bullying. Yeah, I didn't really talk too much about the bullying. Obviously, I kept it to myself in a way. Didn't really talk too much about it. In terms of about me competing and all, she's kind of 50-50 about it. My father was more against it than she was. She's more 50-50 about it. She went to one or two of my fights, and she was just happy for me. She's happy for me because I was doing something. I was doing something for myself. I was doing something. I wasn't just doing nothing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, although I didn't want to go on working, I didn't really want to go. Well, not that I didn't want to go. I didn't want to go to college and all that. I didn't want to go to college, yeah. So I need to do something, and I was doing something. I was doing the martial arts. I was training. I was doing something. You know what I mean? It'd be a different ballgame if I wasn't doing. If I wasn't doing anything, so she was happy that I was doing something and doing something I enjoy. You know what I mean? And she's still happy, like, you know what I mean? She sees that I turned professional in a sport. You know what I mean? In an industry, like, I became a professional in MMA, like, and she sees that now. You know what I mean? So she's okay with it now. You know what I mean? Obviously, she doesn't so much like seeing me getting beat up, and she doesn't like seeing me losing. Obviously, It's hard for her to see me losing, but she's happy. She's happy that I'm doing MMA and I'm doing pretty well at it. You know, she's happy that. Yeah, she's happy.
Yeah. No, that's good. So I'd say she's probably your number one supporter. Every loss for you feels like a loss for her, that sort of a way, because to you, she could probably see how devastated you'd be in a loss, and then that translate to her pain then as well.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. She would.
Perfect. I can't wait to see you fight. Obviously, the boys in Dubai would have been great bodies to work off.
100%.
So I'd say that short space of time, you probably learned a lot. So I'm really excited to see what's next for you. And as soon as a fight gets booked, let me know so I can make sure that I'm not working and I can watch it, because 100%. I really want to see your next fight. Like I said, they're exciting, they're to the point. So thank you again. And I can't wait to see your next fight, pal.
You're welcome.
Perfect.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.